Hi friends, Krista here. Thank you so much for stopping by Books and Jams. Today I'm going to be telling you about the books that I read during the second half of the month of February. This is going to be a relatively quick video because I did do a mid-month wrap-up where I talked about the first 5 books that I read in the month of February, and I only have 3 more to talk to you about today. So in my mid-month wrap-up, I talked about No Words, What the Wind Knows, Red, White, and Whole, The Last Quintista, and Well Matched. Those 5 books I read at the beginning of the month, and I will link the video where I talk about those books down below, but I'm not going to talk about them at all here. I'm just going to talk about the last 3 books that I read. The first one I'll talk about, I read as a buddy read with Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures. I love Berna, and I love buddy reading with her, and it had been a little while since we have read a book together, so I really enjoyed reading with her again. And we read together Codename Helene by Ariel Lohan. This is one of my 5-star prediction books, so I'm not going to actually tell you what I finally rated it, but I will say that this was a super interesting World War II female spy book, which there seems to be a lot of those types of books. But in this book, we follow Nancy, who does end up having a code name of Helene, along with a number of other names. It is based on a true story of a woman who was a spy during World War II. And we kind of go back and forth in time between her in action in the midst of it. So as a spy, one of the things that she did was she was like a go-between between resources in England and the French resistance, small groups within the French resistance. And she was this bold, brash, confident leader, female leader, working in the midst of a ton of men who haven't been around women in a long time. So she had to really learn how to assert herself and demand respect from all of these pockets of men. And it was really cool to see that side of her. But then we also go back maybe like 20 or 30 years earlier. I forget how many years. It's probably not even that much, to be honest. As she, how did she get into this position? How did this even start? And we see her in France and how it all began. And you kind of, it was so interesting because you can see her witty strength and just her quick wit and the way that she interacted with people, but also she was super naive. And so you kind of got to see how that progression happened throughout this book as we hopped back and forth between the 2 different timelines. There was also how she met her husband and that whole relationship in the past timeline that I really appreciated. Ariel Lohan always tends to play with the structure of a book, and I think she did that again in this one, and I really enjoyed it. Do I think that February, the month where my brother was in the hospital for the whole entire month, was the right time to read this? Probably not. And unfortunately, I do think that that's going to affect my rating a little bit, but I do also think that this is a book 100% worth reading and one that I did really appreciate. I love the author's note, learning some of the details of how she found out about this woman. And yeah, I really enjoyed reading with Berna. So yeah, Codename Helene, another 5-star prediction book knocked off of my list. Then I had my patron book club book for the month of February. I almost said August. It's 75 degrees outside and I'm in short sleeves, so maybe it feels like August. I don't know. Why August? Agatha Christie. Oh, that's why. Agatha August. I don't know. I read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd for my patron book club book in February and really enjoyed reading this book. Oh my goodness. I've vlogged the experience of reading all of my patron book club books as a video for just my patrons. And I just had to laugh at myself a couple different times in here because I'm just not good at picking up on the clues that are being laid down. In this mystery, we're in a little small town in England. I forget the name of the town, but Roger Ackroyd is one of the wealthy members of this town, and he is found murdered. The doctor in town is the narrator of the story, and we meet his busybody sister, and Hercule Poirot, who is kind of in retirement, is a character. I mean, he comes out of retirement to solve this murder of Roger Ackroyd. We see the inspector in town who just kind of is like me, sees a clue and is like, oh, that must be who it is. Oh, here's another clue. Oh, that must be who it is. This is me all the way through the book. I suspected just about everybody in this story, except I didn't get it right in the end. But it was fun. It was a fun ride. And I love, something I did love about this is that In this book, we deal with some pretty heavy things like a secret child and drug abuse and murder, just some heavy topics, but it is such, I almost want to say, a delight to read. Like it had this tone that felt much lighter than some of the topics that were being talked about and discussed in this book. I really appreciated reading this one. I know for many, this is their favorite. It was a groundbreaking book in a lot of ways at the time that it was written. And I don't want to say more than that because I think it would be spoilery. So yeah, I think it would be a great one to pick up if you're interested in a murder mystery. And the third book that I'm going to talk about today is The Celebration of Discipline by Richard Foster. This was my third time reading this book, and I did this as a group read here on my channel. So on Sundays, all throughout the month of February, I had other booktubers join me in talking about the different sections of this book. It is a Christian nonfiction. The subtitle is The Path to Spiritual Growth, and it really did just talk about 16 different disciplines of the Christian faith, like study and solitude and prayer and confession and celebration and a whole bunch of other ones. I loved that it had a lot of practical ideas for each discipline, practical ways to try it out if it's not something you're familiar with or is part of your faith journey. I also liked that there was a constant reference to scripture. For each of the different disciplines, it comes straight from scripture. There also was a big emphasis on this is a journey and it is a practice, and there's no necessarily right or wrong way to do some of these things, and we're all growing in these areas. So he's not claiming to have arrived at the final say in prayer or in study or in silence and meditation or whatever. But he gives a lot of different quotes from other literary people like Leo Tolstoy, but also people who have written spiritual books as well. I really also just love the discussion that got to happen with other people reading along with me, because I think it adds a fullness to the reading experience that is not gained by just reading it on my own. So I did really appreciate that. And I'm going to be doing it again. I think I said June, I think will be our next one. I just kept it at 5 stars. I had already rated it 5 stars from previously reading it. I did not change my rating this time around. And something about this book that is special is my dad is his book. So there's my dad's signature, 1996, and he passed away in 1997. So this is a book that I have of my dad's that I will keep forever. So these are the 3 books that I read towards the end of the month, and that makes my total for February 8 books, which means I did slow down again in February. However, I have already read 7 books in March. I guess I'm not slowing down in March, but it's middle grade March, so that's okay. But I would love to chat with you in the comments. Have you read, or what do you think about any of these? Are you adding any of them to your list? What did you love that you read in the month of February? I love chatting with you in the comments so we can talk about anything down there. And I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today and watch this video. And I will be talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.